Hey everyone, Daniel from IGN here, and I'm with our movie expert, Chris Tilley, who's going to go through the five must-see films for April.
You think I'm an expert?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I like that.
Blagger. We're going to start off with a small kind of independent, little bit art house movie. What is it, Chris?
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Sequel to the third biggest movie in the history of film.
No pressure then.
Yeah, so this one is massive. It doesn't really need us to promote it, but we thought we'd talk about it because
it's going to dominate April and probably the rest of the year.
Yeah, and we talk about it every week on the superhero show, so we thought we'd find another show to talk about.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We work in IGN's London office. We're going to get this almost a whole week before the US.
More than a week before the US. So very exciting, this one. Joss Whedon's back. All the cast of characters are back, but we've got some new characters this time around. The big ones are Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, played by Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor-Johnson. They just released a new featurette for that one, and they look cool. The more we find out about them, the more interesting they look on screen.
Yeah, very interesting.
And we've got a villain, hopefully, that's a bit more exciting than the villain from the first movie, where, well, it was Loki, but it was kind of a million aliens that you couldn't really...
We've got a proper villain, I think.
Ultron.
Yeah, sentient intelligence.
Sentient AI, yeah.
Is that a bit of a theme for this year's films? It feels like sentience and autonomous artificial creatures are kind of a thing. Ex Machina as well. Terminator coming later in the year.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But hopefully this one could be the best because he's being played by James Spader.
Yeah. He's got a good voice.
Brat Packer, and like he was a great villain in the 80s, and then he kind of disappeared for a while, and now he's back with that what's that TV show he does? The Blacklist. Yeah. So, I mean, we're pretty excited about it. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
Come on, it's the Avengers. We don't need to talk it up anymore. So, from old Shellhead to Petrolhead.
Yeah, seven times a charm. I guess this is a series that's gone through a series of iterations, really. And it's kind of found its feet with the last three, where it's become like Ocean's 11 on steroids.
It's become this like very unique thing, and people got on board with it in a big way now. It's kind of almost self-aware.
Yeah, and they've got to go one better than the last one each time now. The stunts have got to get bigger, the stars have got to get bigger. So this time around, we've got Jason Statham is the villain. He plays the brother of the character that Luke Evans played in the last film, Out for Revenge. But yeah, most of the crew come back. But of course, the big story around this one was the fact that it was delayed a year because of Paul Walker's untimely death.
And how was that handled in the film?
Really well, actually. I have seen the film, and our review's up on the site. And I won't go into any spoilers, but the way they handle it, I mean, he'd completed much of his shooting anyway by the time when he died. So that's all in the film. But they handle it very sensitively at the end of the film. It's quite moving and powerful, but... yeah, if you like this kind of thing, it's more of the same, and, it's good fun.
Okay, so we're going from a really big film to maybe one people may not have heard much about. What's next?
Yeah, the next one was Good Kill, actually, which is, I guess drones have become a subject of films in the last couple of years, or they've popped up in a lot of films, like Interstellar, there's one in The Interview, RoboCop was very much, the remake was very much dealing with drones, but kind of they've almost been for fun, or they've been in action blockbusters. This one is much more kind of a drama about what it means to control one of these drones. So Ethan Hawke plays a fighter pilot who's become a drone pilot. He lives in Las Vegas, and from his room in Las Vegas, he's controlling life and death in other parts of the world, and it's kind of him starting to question his orders and kind of the repercussions of his actions. So I don't know, it could be a really interesting film.
Sounds quite serious.
Yeah. But this is how wars are fought now, and no one's really talking about them in cinematic terms. So I think a film like this is long overdue.
Cool, and I like Ethan Hawke anyway. So at the risk of droning on, let's change film. That was terrible. That was actually rubbish. But next film is another kind of serious film, Child 44.
Yeah, this is another heavy one. It is a thriller. The kind of which we haven't seen too many of in the last few years, kind of a serial killer thriller. But the setting is Stalinist Soviet Union, and it's about a series of child murders, 44 child murders in fact. And it's about a policeman's effort to hunt down this serial killer, but it's really about the politics and the fear of the time.
And it's got an incredible cast.
I had to write it down because I couldn't remember them all.
It's ridiculous.
But it's Tom Hardy is the lead, there he is. Gary Oldman, Noomi Rapace, Paddy Considine, Charles Dance, Jason Clarke, Vincent Cassel, Joel Kinnaman, just a few of them. So you're not going to be short of acting in this film. And the book's a really good one. I read it because it was going cheap on Kindle a while back. It's the first part in a trilogy about this police officer. But yeah, it goes to some really dark places. But if you want kind of something different, alternative to the big blockbusters coming out in April, this is a good one.
Wow, so serious. Should we change it with some more ridiculous action?
There's nothing ridiculous about the next film.
No, it's a very sombre film.
It's John Wick, which came out in the States and Australia and a few other places last year, but we're only just getting it now in the UK. And because we friggin' love it, we thought we'd talk about it on this show.
It's so good.
You've seen John Wick,
I've seen it twice now. It's so good.
So do you want to set it up for those who might not have seen it?
It's a really great, focused action film that has a very, very streamlined premise where he is probably the world's best hitman. He gets out of the business, he retires because he loves a woman. The woman dies, and to help him with his grief, she gives him a puppy. A puppy arrives one day on his doorstep. Not spoilers here, this is the setup. And then he gets entangled with some guys who end up stealing his car and killing the dog. And he goes for them. It's just revenge.
You don't kill John Wick's dog. He's basically the guy, he's like the boogeyman. He reminds me of kind of the way they talk about Kaiser Soze in The Usual Suspects. He's the guy they send to kill the assassins. And so, he's retired, but he comes out of retirement to unleash his revenge. And it's just so much fun. It's directed by a couple of stuntmen, or former stuntmen.
And you can totally tell that.
Yeah, they met Keanu on the set of Matrix, and they worked with him then, and they spent all this time developing a film specifically for him, specifically for the things that he's capable of doing. And it works. So the stunts are incredible. The choreography is insane. And he's never been cooler or more badass than.
And the choreography, you told me this, it's called gun fu.
Yeah, they call it gun fu.
It's quite unique, the way it kind of flows, the way he uses his physicality, but then also, obviously, if you've got two guns, you're going to use them to effectively take people down.
Yeah, and I think there's car fu in it as well.
There is a bit,
I think he didn't used to play for Brazil. There's Carfu. And I mean, already it's done pretty well in the States, and they're talking about a sequel. So hopefully this one's going to run and run. But everyone go see it because you'll make sure they make the sequel.
So good. And he's 50. Yeah, how's that possible? He's 50 years old.
Yeah, he's got a painting that's getting younger.
Great. So those are the 5 must-see movies for April, and let us know what you think in the comments below. And until then, for everything on military drones and ex-hitmen, stay right here on IGN.